Darlene, what were your first entrepreneurial steps into your career?
Well, it's really kind of interesting. I got married very young. I don't even want to say the age. I got married very young, and at 16, I will say it. Crazy, just four of us sitting around saying, what are we going to do next week? Why don't we go to Georgia and get married? Okay, that sounds like a really great idea. Oh my God, that was a horrible idea.
It sounds like me and my wife.
But I do have 3 fabulous children as a result of it, so it's no regrets there. But it happened to be with a very jealous, possessive husband that didn't want me to work. He liked me to be home. So I fought tooth and nail. I was involved in, chairman of everything at the kids' school, president of this, cheerleader, coach, baseball, whatever, to keep busy doing something. I don't know, it's just my nature. I need to be involved. They call it FOMO today. Fear of missing out, So I have that disease really bad,
You were way before you were diagnosed, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They didn't even, it was like if something was happening, I guess, I got to be there. I've got to be involved. What can I do? So anyway, to make a long story short, I handled the bills, and we came to back to Melbourne in '61. We had gone to Michigan, and to get rich. It didn't happen. We came back to Melbourne. He was on the Melbourne Police Department. His big salary for the year of 1961 was $3,800 and some odd dollars a year.
Wow.
So, we were penny pinching, and he used to say I could do more with $1 than any human he ever saw. I can feed 14 people if you come over to my house and I have $2. That's no problem. But anyway, so, I was always pinching and scrimping and this and that, and we had just got our car paid off, and he got car fever. And I never stood up to him. He didn't want me to work. I said, okay, I'll raise the kids. That was a more important job anyway. But he was like, you're never going to work. I want to go to work. You just want to go to work so you can fool around oh my God, no, I don't have time for that. I just want to go to work because I don't like being broke, so. Anyway, I went to get a job at Radiation, and they hired me, and I was sitting next to a girl that said, I told her my story. My husband's never going to let me keep you. I can't even imagine him allowing me to go to work from 3 to 9 with 5,000 men every night. Not happening, but I have to prove a point here, So anyway, she says to me, you'd probably like this job I had. It's only it wasn't enough hours for me. I said, I just need a few hours just to, get a few dollars. All I want to do is make $100 a week. And at minimum wage was 50 cents? No, wait a minute. No, it was $1.10. It was $1.10. Wow. So I was calculating, how I might. And I went to work. I said, good, where did you work? And she said, a hair salon. I said, really? What'd you do? She said, shampoo hair and answer the phone. I said, well, shoot, I could do that, The rest is history. The girls started saying, oh my gosh, you should go to beauty school. You are so good. You have a natural knack for hair. Go to school. And of course, my husband was fighting me tooth and nail. And he actually caught the beauty school open one night. He was running his rounds at midnight or something, and it was open, and the owner lived in Titusville, and she comes down, and he said, my wife's been talking about going to beauty school. So she says, oh my gosh, well, I'll let her have it for half price. I still have my receipt, $200.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
It was $400, but she gave me half price, so it was $200 to go to beauty school. And I don't know, something magical happened when I touched hair. Me and the hair both just came alive, and I've had that kind of feeling about it ever since, and still do. I mean, I can't hardly, stand up for hours and do hair anymore. And when the girls are getting ready to do something exciting, I mean, I get to just be there. I want my hands in it so bad, but, So I'm over there interfering with their work and trying to teach them something. And so that's how it happened. So the good and the bad, it said, somewhere in there it was some of the qualities that you should have. And I found this list, and one of the top ones on there, it wasn't mine. I my top thing is you got to love what you do. Because if you go every day to something, you've got to be able to love it and be happy and be excited about being there, and treat your last customer of the day the same as you would your first customer. You just have to be ready. But anyway, it's said on this list, humility. Well, to make a long story short, I discovered I could really do something. I didn't have to be dependent on a man, so, and he'd been telling me that for 25 years. I couldn't survive without him, but, I found out I could. And,
Good for you.
So anyway, it was like, oh my gosh, I was just discovering myself. My kids were all getting big. My youngest one was getting ready to go to college. And, I said, this is all about me. So I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. And I opened a big salon. I opened a one little tiny shanty of a salon in 73. Downtown Melbourne, actually. The fork in the road in Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
And there's a little building that has two, I think there is a hair salon in there right now, but right past there was a little tiny 7-Eleven, and there was a little 2-building store. And so anyway, that's where I started. And then my dream was to bring to Melbourne the best of hair, because I got so sick of hearing people say, oh, I got to go to Miami to get my foils. I have to go fly up to New York when I'm in New York visiting my family. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Melbourne should have the best of everything, And so I got obsessed with studying hair, and I was spending every penny I could get my hand on, flying somewhere to New York, London, Paris, wherever I could go, to get educated and to be able to stay ahead of the game, and if a client mentioned something, oh, I hear in New York they're doing, da-di-da, and I said, oh, we do that, sure. What do you need, And fortunately, the story goes, my reputation started to spread, and everybody wanted to come and work for me. So I thought it was me they wanted to come and work for. It wasn't. They just wanted a job. But, I was not taking it that way. It was all about me. And all these shopping centers that were being built, they all sent me notices. Oh, Silhouette would be a perfect fit for our conglomerate of people, So I was opening salons all over the place. I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. And there was no humility left at that particular time. And I'm very into my God, and I've always been close to him. I've talked to him since I was like 5 years old. And you sit over there. I'm kind of busy right now, So next thing I know, he's very jealous. You do not want to ignore him if you want to have a lot of peace in your system.
Right.
So the next thing I knew, I was like $400,000 in debt. I'd opened a beauty school and 3 salons in a year. You just do not do that. You open one, build it and they will come. That's a fallacy. Build it and work your butt off for several years and then they'll come, but it's not like magic. And so anyway, I was in debt. My accountant, my CPAs are saying, you better file bankruptcy. There's no way you're going to pay off $400,000 doing $18 haircuts.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I can and I will. And of course, I went to where I should have been in the first place, on my knees and praying a lot. And I said, Lord, I'm sorry. I don't know. I've got myself in a mess and only you can get me out. And people laugh when I say miracles happen, but they really did. One guy that was suing me for $125,000 because I had closed up a salon emotionally, just closed it, and I just signed a new 5-year lease. So I owed him $125,000, and he was like, I'm not settling for any less, and one day I'm doing a preacher's hair for free, a female preacher, and I get a call from my attorney. He says, I don't know what happened, but these people are willing to settle for $20,000. And I said, what? And he says, yeah, I don't know what happened. And then I said, I do. It was God. He's giving me a miracle. He's giving me an opportunity to redeem myself for being crazy. But anyway,
Well, a few things. Darlene, I love, one, how you kept hearing people say, I got to go to Miami, I got to go to New York. Like, Melbourne doesn't have this.
Yes.
And you determined that you were just going to make it. Like, you were going to make that thing that you wanted
And
here.
you know, it's funny, I had a girl in the other day. She came to our salon when she was 14 years old to go to a homecoming or a prom. And she said, your salon was the only place to go. And we were like the place to go. I had number ones on the wall. I mean, talk about nuts. And I gave all my staff number ones, gold number ones, after they'd been with me for a year.
Amazing.
I was on like a trip that was very bad. No humble there. I mean, it was like, it's all about me. No, it wasn't about me. It was about the grace of God that was allowing me to be successful, but I didn't quite get it at that moment. And so anyway, I felt like Melbourne should have the best. Why should we have to go anywhere?
Right.
You know, there was people that were happening. They were professional people. It was growing, you know, and I think we were about 150,000 people at that time, maybe, and up, you know. So, yeah, I was just kind of obsessed with education, and I still am. It's ridiculous. 84, I don't even do hair, but I do still teach it.
Yeah.
So, but if there's a class going on, I start getting, I can't explain it, you know, the FOMO is taking over. Oh my God, I need to go to New York. It's the IBS show. And nobody's going to New York right now. It's like a little bit scary. So I haven't been there in like three years, but I didn't miss the New York show for like 33 years.
Wow.
Because, you know, it was kind of the place to go.
Yeah.
Studied in Europe, went to hair shows, competitions. The United States won the World Hairdressing Championships in 1984.
Amazing. Okay, well, elaborate on that. What happens at the World Hairdressing
Okay.
Championship,
I'll
Marley?
tell you, I mean, people, when I say that, you know, I was a competition judge for about 22 years, and people say, what do you do there? Well, I should have brought some pictures, but I didn't. They have a compulsory form, you know, like the hair has to be, it can't be just any old thing you want to take there and show them.
Right.
They have a compulsory form by some big committee that's figured it out what's going to be for that year. And you compete. They start in the United States locally, and they'll compete in our 3 major cities, New York, Chicago, and LA or Atlanta. One of them, they'll have big competitions, and people, these women that are crazier and more addicted to hair than I am, I mean, spend thousands to get in these competitions. I mean, thousands, these beautiful gowns and hours of practice and stuff like that, and they do these gorgeous hairstyles, and then they win. It's just like any Olympic tryout, whether you're a runner or it's for you know, basketball or whatever. You compete here, then when the winners, then they go and compete there, and then the winners compete, and pretty soon, well, we won actually. The World Championship was in Las Vegas in 1984. The first time it had been there in like 20 years for somebody to been in the United States. Because usually then they have the European competitions, and then they have the world competitions. So the Hair World 84 was the year that we won.
That's amazing.
And I was on the hair fashion committee, and one of our girls actually, she was the champion. They have a team of 3, but they're all scoring points, you know, and the points, so she had the most points. So,
wow.
But you know, the difference between the winner is just like in racing or swimming or any other kind of meet. I mean, it's seconds. You know, to be the best, you only have to be a speck, you know, better than all the rest. It's not like you have to be miles better, it's a little bit. So.
That's awesome. You know, I feel like what you're describing, bringing the best to Melbourne. I feel like that's a talent of a lot of entrepreneurs and artists, like the best entrepreneurs and artists. They're just recontextualizing something that they are passionate about or find to be really cool. Maybe you see someone else doing it somewhere, and the concept hasn't been proved yet for Melbourne. Like no one's ever seen something like that here. You know, I feel like it's easy for people to get in that mindset of like, oh, that would never work here, or this would, you know what I mean? Like people just wouldn't get it, kind of thing. But like the best, most forward-thinking artists, entrepreneurs, like the game changers, they combined elements that have never been combined before. You're spot on, man. And as I was listening to you, Darlene, and